26th of April, so I'm going to be sowing some the frost tender stuff today, which is like courgettes, cucumbers, beans as well. I'm going to be doing some French climbing beans and some dwarf French beans, because dwarf French beans are great for little gap fillers. They don't take long, you know, and you get a fairly quick crop off them. So it's always handy to have some of them on go, really. You know, if you pull a plant out of the way, just pop one in, 5 or 6 weeks, you get a crop off it. So I've got my sweet corn to do as well. So none of this will be actually getting planted in situ in its final place for at least another month. Usually sort of very end of May, beginning of June for where I am in northwest England, because it's still cold at night. I mean, last night it went down. We had a frost because this tray of water I've got under here had ice on top. So just be careful. There's no rush. Things will catch up still. So these are not going to stay outside. They're going to go on the windowsill. And if it's warm enough outside, they can come out. But you just have to be careful. This time, obviously, when you've got the hot sunshine, clear skies in the day in a greenhouse or a polytunnel, they will need shade because it can get too hot. And if you've got a propagator lid on, it can get 40 degrees plus in there, and you only need like 50 and above really, and you'll kill the seed. So the sun can be your enemy, so don't let them get cold, don't let them get too hot. They don't need much light to germinate, but as soon as they've germinated, you're not so bad. Just keep an eye on them. Yeah, it's that time now you can start sowing your frost tender stuff. So if you want to do pumpkins and things like that, you can do that. So I've got pretty much old seed, this really. It's a couple of years old, so I thought I'll use it up, see how it goes. Because usually I'd have done this about a week ago usually, but because this year seems to be it's a bit colder than the last few years. So I've got some courgettes. These are just some yellow courgettes called Limona. I did a couple of them last year. I've got some little pots here. You can do them in seed modules if you want. These are just 7cm pots filled with my own compost. I've been using a lot of that this year, and it's done all right, to be honest. So courgette seeds, same as any of the Kerberit family, they're quite flat. So I plant them on their edges. If you're planting like a coin on its edge, not too deep. So it's about 1 centimetre below. So I'm going to do 2 yellow courgettes, and I think I've got enough seeds to do the Defender, which is a green one. There's many different types of courgettes. And basically, if you want a marrow, you can leave them long enough and they'll end up, being a marrow. Obviously, you can get marrow seeds, but courgettes, once they're happy and they've got plenty of nutrients and water in the heat and the sunshine, you can get a bit overrun with them. So you don't necessarily need loads of them. So I would say pick them small, 6-7 inch long, ample size. But same with these, pop them on their edge. If you don't plant them quite deep enough, you'll find that some seeds will come up with the seed still on them, the seed case, and it's hard for them to get it off. Sometimes if they're a little bit on the dry side, they can do that, but I'd rather take the risk of that than looking at a blank pot for weeks. It's not doing anything. So I'll just put a label in them. It's quite important with the Kerberit family because they all do look the same, so until you see the actual colour of the fruit. So I'm just going to put YC because I know what that is. I'll just put ×2. Well, there. I'll put it here so it's not in your way. And then I'll put GC ×4. It's 4 of them. I've got a little bit of compost here. Slightly different stuff really. It's a bit of a mix of like what's been left over. I just put it all in a bucket under the shelf sort of thing in the polytunnel. That's why I'm doing this out here, because it is quite warm in the polytunnel. I've put my netting over the top of it to give it some shade, because my tomato plants have been suffering a little bit, getting a bit of scorch on the leaf and stuff like that, which is getting really hot. They're not that dry, these pots, but I will give them a quick water. Put a propagator lid on. If you think you've watered them a little bit too much, just leave the lid off for a few days. Give them a little bit of sunshine, just to help dry them out a little bit, just to prevent that seed rot. And if it's damp underneath, it's fine. That seed will sense it and pump its root down. Give it a bit of a water on top. That's all there is to the courgettes. Once they get, fairly big, they'll need potting on into a pot at least twice. So once they start growing, they'll grow quick. Do 2 types of cucumber, both F1s. There's information online, difference between F1 cucumbers and normal cucumbers. It's to do with the male flowers. They tend to not produce male flowers, unless if they get really stressed, but rarely do. So I've got these like mini cucumbers which are called Nimrod. Did them a couple of years ago. That's what sort of 5-6 inch cucumbers, slightly smaller than a courgette seed. Same principle though, just on its edge. That's all. And just be careful with this type of, the Curbit family, courgettes and everything, is they can be quite prone to stem rot. So once they've started to germinate, I would recommend giving them water from the bottom, and little and often is better than a big flood out. I tend to lose mine a lot of the time when I've planted them in the final spot. If I get heavy downpour and everything, or the bed's been too wet for too long, I do lose some like that. And because it's a changing soil as well, I find, I lose a few live. It's a complete change growing medium. If you've not got a greenhouse, a variety you can grow outside quite happily. Market more, burbless tasty, like a ridge cucumber, they'll all do okay outside. Trying to find my packet for them now, what we're them. There we go. So, because F1s, you don't get many seeds in a pack, so a little bit sparse. Five seeds in this pack. Sometimes you get 6. Throw an extra one in. So how many cucumbers I'm growing, I don't know. I might do 3 cucumbers this year, so I've got like a double backup, just in case. I always prefer growing extra, because there's always somebody who wants some, and if you have any problems with frost or insect damage, you're rushing about and you forget to cover something, at least you've got a bit of a backup somewhere. Just hold them back in smaller pots. So we've got Nimrod times 2. Fem spot times 4. Same again, a little bit of compost just to cover the seed. And a splash of water. There we go. That's all it is to courgettes and cucumbers. I'll probably leave them out in the in this sun for about half an hour or so, just to take any chill off the top of the compost. Right, beans. So I'm going to be doing cobra climbing beans. I usually do them along one of these beds here, but I've built like a bit of an archway. I might try and like that this year. They do better in a sheltered area. They do struggle with get bashed about by winds. These are quite old seed, these. I think I've had these for about 3 years. So these can rot off quite easy as well, so I don't like the cold. But, you know, sometimes I do actually just sow them direct because they're a fairly big seed. So how many seeds have I got here? I don't know. I'll just keep sowing until I run out. So simple as these. You just shove them, you know, about a centimetre and a half below the surface. They're like a little dot on them there, which is where they sort of came out of the pod. I tend to always put that to the downside. I always find it's like the softest part and most likely place the root's going to come out of. And then as it comes up, it'll flip the seed out and open its leaves out and give you a load of grub with a bit of luck. Just check them as you sow them, because sometimes you do get some that are cracked. You know, just discard them. I've got some more of these. Should I need them? I've only got room for about 10 or 12 here at the moment, anyway. But, more seeds left in there. One right in the corner. Oh, they're all smashed to bits then. You know, 'cause, I mean, they used to do a thing called that Three Sisters method, where you could grow some sweet corn. You know, plant a bean, let the bean climb up the corn, and have like a member of the squash or Curbit family to ramble up through. But I never find it works out quite that way. Dwarf French beans are okay if your sweet corn's on the small side still. It does take a while for sweet corn to get going, because you're not going to be harvesting it till like August probably. So and it's only like a tall, thin crop, so it's not going to shade everything. Put dwarf French beans in between, as long as they don't get any light blocked off, otherwise cause problems. Right, so what have we got here? Trying to find my pen. So that's cobra. So these are dwarf. These are the French climbing beans, not runner beans. Runner beans are more reliable, they're a bit more cold tolerant. Just a bit more. Well, you need to be on the ball with picking them, really. Cobra times 16. And then here we have Ferrari. There's Ferrari, Safari. I did some purple ones last year. Still got some of them left. I'll probably do them later in the season. Slightly smaller bean, but I actually prefer eating dwarf French beans. Same again. Don't have to go too deep. These, as long as they're down in there, as long as they don't dry out and they germinate, they'll be fine. Just the deeper they are, the more chance there is of rotting. General rule of thumb is twice the depth of seed is ample. But you know, there's a lot of seeds that'll just quite happily germinate, just thrown on top of damp compost. I've sown sweet corn like myself before, where I've just put a piece of sweet corn on top and just pressed it into the surface. It just grows out of it like a blade of grass, because it is related to grass. Get these done and go and pop some lettuce in the ground, and we've got a final bed to plant up. And then I'll do my sweet corn, because it's currently soaking in some water at the moment. just cover them all up. You can soak these. These are root drainers. I'm not a big fan of them, but I've had this one for years, so I thought I'll put it to use. It's nice and warm in that sun, but when you get in the shade, that breeze is slightly cool. That bit of a watering. I should take the nozzle off this to give it a bit more water, because they are quite deep. As long as your compost is like free draining, it'll all run down, and it should only hold on to what it needs. A lot of time I water the seeds now and then never water them again. Obviously they'll be in there for a while. Should I need to pot them on, should imagine they'll be fine in there. About 4 weeks time, be about yay high. I'm going to plant it in. I've also got cobra, and Ferrari times 12. So with dwarf French beans, do repeat sowings, every 2-3 weeks. If you've got like, a little tray of them on the go, you can pot them on into bigger pots if you want, but they're just handy to just fill a little space. I'll be sowing my leeks soon, not just yet, because they'll be going where my potatoes are in the garden, so I'll be sowing them probably another week or so. I'm just going to put them in a 6-inch pot or something like that, and end of June. If the first earlies are ready, then I'll pull them out, and then they can go in there. Right, we're going to plant some lettuce, and then we'll get on with doing the sweet corn. That's all lettuce all planted out and done now, so it's just sweet corn left. I would like to have soaked it for a little bit longer, but I'll just get it in. It said probably about an hour and a half soaking now, so I would like to do it for about 4 or 5 hours really, but never mind. I'll just get rid of the excess water. So I'm probably going to be after about 20 plants, 20 to 25, I've got 27 here. Just used a little dibber, dipped it down probably about a centimetre, 1.5 centimetres in the middle of each pot. Simply like drop a seed in each one of them. Same again, they can rot off quite easy, so just be careful with the watering side. They have been pre-watered, these pots, a little bit, so I'll just give them a quick whip over the top with a bit of water just to settle the compost down when I fill the holes up. With a bit of luck, most of them, because these are old seed as well, you get a bit of a collection of seed and you end up with multiple packets open. So just use some of the old stuff up because it might still be, it's still in date. It's still in date, but I tend to ignore that a bit these days because I've had brand new seed fail and old seed fire. Just make sure they're firmly nestled down so they're in contact at the bottom. And just get a bit of compost and fill them in. You can do sweet corn and root trainers as well, in smaller modules if you want. I just like doing them in sort of the 2.5, 3 inch pots, so I can plant it out when it's kind of, you know, anywhere between sort of 8-10 inches tall. I've had it before now. I planted it out, it's been like nearly 18 inches, waiting for the weather to sort itself out with. Say up at the plot, a little bit more chance of frost up until I have had it first week of June in the past, but only once. It's usually end of May. But we're forecast a cool night tonight. Again, I'll take these in. Probably leave them indoors for about a week or something like that. Just so I see some of them start popping up. And then I'll introduce them to the outdoors. They can come out on a warm sort of overcast day. Be fine like that. Just it's easy to bring them out and then you get blazing sunshine. I mean, it's quite shaded in here because I've got the netting over. So you get quick water just to settle that compost that's in the middle. Because the kitchen windowsill, it's not south facing, it's north facing, but it gets a little bit of light. It's kind of stable. It tends to be this time of year 17, 18 degrees on the windowsill, so it's not ideal. You know, 20, 21's good, but they should be fine. That's it for this video. It's just a bit of frost tender sowings, and so we plant the last of the lettuce out, and hopefully everything can do its thing now, really. Next job for me will be potting these on in the twin pot method. They're not full of roots yet, these pots. Probably give them another, starting to see some roots at the bottom of these 1 litre pots, so I'll give them another probably 4 or 5 days, and then I'll pot them into the, these are the final pots, the 3 inch pots, the 3 litre pots, bottomless pot. Which you'll see in due course. I did do it, it's in my videos from previous years as well why I do it. I'll pot them into them because they're sort of needing watering like every 2 days now. Quite robust little plants. So there's a few of the leaves got a bit of sign of scorching and that, but other than that they all look okay. There's one of these cordy boo, looks a bit weird, but we'll see how that goes. I've still got some backups left, and I've still got actually all the original sowings, so I went a bit bad with sowings. There's plenty of backups should I need them, and these have just been outside all the time, so they'll be hardy. But you know, they might look tatty, but you stick them down into a pot, down to there or something like that, all the roots will come out the stem and they'll be fine. They'll catch up. Obviously, behind me here is some of the, you know, there's some over there as well. These are the compost trials that I'm doing, the different ones. They've gone well. You know, there's obviously there's a few that are bigger, but well, it's not about really size. It's general when they start to run out of food, because they're not getting fed at all. They're just getting watered. Obviously, some of them are requiring watering a lot more. The topsoil is, I think I watered that at the beginning. It's not even dried out yet, and there's a couple of the other ones that are quite loam based. But obviously, these ones that are bigger are requiring a lot more water. They do dry out quite quick. But you see, you know, nice loose fluffy stuff is good for fruits, and the loamy stuff is good for roots. That's what I've tended to always find out usually. But we'll see all that in the next updates, because May's a bit of a busy month for me. Middle of May I've got some stuff to get on with, so there'll be an update at some point during May. See how things are. Probably maybe putting my peppers out. These are on my bell peppers. Not decided whether to top them yet, I don't know. So if you know, if you're a bit of a pepper guru, which I'm not, what do you recommend, topping them or not topping them? We've not started showing any peppers yet. Little chilies, these are the Apaches. Quite a bush at the bottom, so I might top them just so I get a small plant. These will probably go in 5-inch pots, 5-litre pots, my chilies. 5-7 litres for chilies, and peppers I'd probably go 7-10 litres or even 12. The old way was get a big grow bag, cut it in half, and put a pepper plant in each one of them, and they'd do all right. Because they do like coarse, lumpy compost. So this is not sieve that's in here, but they take ages, you know, to put. There's no sign of any roots, so they've been potted on, you know, a little bit now. So we'll just see all that in due course. Obviously, they're going to be planted directly in the ground. Most of them, I've got space for 10, I think. They give them good spacing. And see how they do outside under like a little polythene cloche type thing. So that's a new thing I'm trying out, and if it works, great. It saves watering, because the thing with lots of pots, lots of watering, it's trying to eradicate as much of that as possible. So thanks for watching. Take care, and if you want to support the channel, links are in the description below, as is any the compost that I've used, and any discount codes will all be in the description below. So take care. See you next time. Bye bye.